Sun Wukong was the supreme monkey god ruling the heaven mountains with his army of demon monkeys until he got betrayed by a fellow god only to reborn in human world as an orphan named Jean with no memories of his past life. He had a rough childhood as his parents died early, leaving him all alone and miserable until an old man adopted him as his grandson. He started teaching him his original Taekwondo fighting style so one day he could become world's strongest martial artist. However, before any of this, some men relax on the beach getting massages from young ladies. A guy wearing shades calls Mr. Park and blackmails him about his scandal. All are happy that Park is being used as their puppet through blackmail. As they talk, the wind turns into a storm and the sky darkens. Terrified, they look up as something shoots down from the sky. In a reflection of a man's eye, a glowing red cross races toward them. Later, Park asks his secretary about the progress. She calmly replies that everything is going as planned. Park stands before a strange painting, covered in what looks like drawings of all living creatures. As he stands in front of the painting, the same cross symbol can be seen on his hand. Elsewhere, a helicopter spots the island where those men vanished. They are surprised to see there is nothing on the ground but a massive cross smashed into the ground. Meanwhile, Jean Mori dreams of his grandfather advising him to study and make friends at school. He wakes up realizing that he overslept and immediately starts panicking. He rushes out of the door and rides his bicycle like he is speeding toward the Olympics. On his way, he nearly hits an old woman but dodges her by an inch. As she screams at him, he loses control and crashes through a roadblock but somehow flips the bike midair. The news reports about a new martial arts event, the God of High School, a tournament that's got everyone talking. Students discuss fighters, predictions. It is all over the streets, everyone has been discussing it. Moreover, today marks the start of the preliminaries round. At a grocery store, a worker asks his boss for leave to compete. His boss praises his dedication for working even before the big day. Counting his small salary outside, he sighs, realizing it is barely enough. Nearby, a group of martial artists complain about not being selected. A shy girl wearing glasses approaches asking for directions to the arena. All of them jump at the chance to help. The girl notices one guy's chest as she is clearly impressed and compliments his muscles. Instantly, the others rip their shirts off too, turning it into a flexing contest of their own. Back to Mori, who's pedaling through the city and exhausted from hunger, praying there is free food at the arena. Suddenly, a man on a motorbike speeds past him snatching a purse. Mori spots an old lady crying for help. His main character's instincts activate and he immediately starts chasing the guy. A streamer catches it all live, jaw dropped, as his viewers goes wild seeing a bicycle chasing a motorcycle. Traffic is chaotic but Mori dodges everything. Cars, buses, logic itself. The snatcher tries to kick him off but Mori jumps onto his bike, biting him from behind like a wild animal. A truck appears out of nowhere. Mori leaps back to his bicycle midair, breaking every law of physics known to man. The thief escapes toward a hilly road, mocking him but Mori smirks and jumps off a passing truck to follow. Up ahead, the glasses girl is talking to those same flexing guys. Mori crashes straight into her face and launches her into a trash can. He apologizes but seeing her broken glasses, she goes full rage mode and swings her sword at him and punches him repeatedly as Mori falls to the ground. Mori explains the situation by mentioning the old lady's stolen purse. A single tear changes her mood and now both chase the thief together. The grocery guy notices them sprinting past. He keeps watching the live stream, instead casually holding his phone. Mori and the girl keep fighting mid-ride. She swings her wooden sword at him but he dodges each time. The thief throws cash in the air and the poor main character Mori instantly stops to collect it. She tries to jump and strike him with her super technique, but smacks right into a signboard instead. The thief laughs until a punch slams into his face. It is the grocery guy who knocks him straight into a truck. Mori and the girl freeze and stare at him. At the KORG arena, the preliminary round of the tournament began. The crowd roars, cameras flash and excitement fills the air. In the locker room, Mori thanks the grocery guy and asks his name. He replies it is Han Dewi. Both then look toward the girl. She hesitates but finally says her name is Meera. The announcer explains the rules. An all-style martial arts battle with no weapon and no time limits. The only way to win is to either knock out your opponent or make him surrender. He adds that the main tournament will happen after a month after they have recruited participants from all over Korea. As all the participants start walking towards the arena, Mori is exhausted with hunger. He adds that the bracelets on their hand are equipped with nanomachines that track vitals and heal injuries instantly, and the winner will get their one wish granted from the tournament organizer. The announcer tells them to start fighting. Everyone is surprised, thinking there aren't any pairings or tournament brackets or anything. Later, they realizes that it is a full-on battle royale. Chaos breaks loose instantly. One guy sees weaker vitals on another's bracelet and attacks. Fights explode everywhere. Some use nunchaku, some swing bats, one even fights while reading a book, another chews gum while dodging kicks. Dewi throws a single punch that sends 4 guys flying. Meera's sword flashes and takes down everyone near her. Mori stretches lazily, and when a group rushes him taking him for weak, he knocks them all out using nothing but his kicks. Mori ends it with one massive hit that sends a guy flying into the wall. He glances toward the VIP section where commissioners are watching the match. A blonde-hair commissioner seems to take interest in him. Suddenly, the arena doors burst open. A new fighter walks in, Kong Manioch, late to the match and penalized with reduced health points. Within seconds, he is kicking people across the floor, mocking them for being slow. Meera charges in and attacks with her sword. He dodges easily and even catches her blade midair with his foot. Meera lands a punch to his stomach, finally drawing blood out of him. She follows with a kick, but he just smirks, complimenting her skirt and asking her out mid-fight. Mori appears behind him, holding her sword in his mouth and teasing him about his underwear. Manioch snaps and throws kick after kick, but Mori dodges them all. One lands, sending Mori flying, but Dewi notices that before impact, Mori managed to elbow him first. Mori smirks and tells him that he is going all out, so he should also join him. Somewhere in an army facility, they discuss the island incident, wondering if it was King Kong's doing. 2 men talk in the back, one of them sure it is the work of Chariot. Suddenly, the emergency alarm goes off and chaos breaks out. The security team rushes to handle the situation, while a mysterious man walks in and introduces himself as Mujin Park. Meanwhile, the participants rest in the arena as the emergency team monitors their vitals. In the VIP room, Park's secretary, Commissioner P and another man are curious about Mujin Park's late arrival. Meera twisted her neck and asked for her wooden sword. Dewi walks with them, wondering how the bracelet healed Mori's neck so fast. They start talking about their reasons for joining the tournament. Mori says he just wants to get stronger by fighting stronger guys. Revive her family's sword dojo. As they talk, Mori suddenly grabs her sword. She asks for it back, but it's the moonlight sword style. She has dedicated her life to it. Mori offers to help her find the sword holding a flashlight. Meera apologizes for slapping him earlier and tells him it is a gift from her late father. As they search, Dewi brings large LED lights to help them. The next morning, the second day of the preliminary round begins. Go Gamdo. Mori takes a nap in the waiting room when Manioch approaches him trying to pick a fight. Attack him, but Mori saves Gamdo at the last moment. Mori also wins his first fight with a beast named Guy who seemed more of a cat than beast. While Gamdo approaches him and greets him in his martial arts style to thank him. As they talk, Gamdo hears his match with Manioch being announced. As he leaves, Mori warns him, but Gamdo says he does not fear him. Match 8 starts between Go Gamdo and Manioch Kong. Gamdo warns Manioch that he'll regret not taking off his arm restraints. The fight begins and Gamdo strikes with Dragon Fist followed by 10,000 Horse Strike, punching him again and again before throwing him. Manioch gets up smiling in his cocky way, removes his jacket and jumps back into the ring. Gamdo attacks midair, but Manioch blocks it with his right arm, finally using it. Gamdo charges again, but Manioch dodges and hits him in the stomach. Gamdo struggles to stay calm, thinking about his technique. He finally dodges and hits with his yin-yang balance strike, but Manioch repels it, sending him flying. His memories flash, showing how weak he once was. He kicks out waves of dark power at Mori, but one of the commissioners blocks it. Tackles him and hits him 3 times before kicking him straight into the ground. Manioch lies broken on the floor. Mori suddenly kneels to the ground and feels a strong force pushing him down. It is Mujin Park. He announces that Mori's punishment will be decided later and the tournament will continue as planned. As the commissioners take Mori away along with Park, the audience and his friends cheer for him. A group of mysterious people, the Knox, sit inside a church-like place, listening to the radio broadcast about the tournament. Their leader talks about finding the key to their wishes and prays to their god for help. Park sits in a meeting with other members, asking about the current status of the tournament. Gamdo is eliminated due to his severe injuries, while Manioch sits frightened in the hospital and is unable to fight. Meanwhile, Mori stretches alone in a separate room. Commissioner P suggests eliminating him for breaking the rules and asks Park for his opinion. Park, lost in thought while reading Mori's file, notices the name of Mori's grandfather, who is Jin Tae-jin, and looks surprised as if he knows him. The tournament resumes. Meera faces Mizion Ma, always chewing bubblegum as if it gives her energy. Before the fight begins, Mizion tells Meera to change her weapon, saying it would not work on her. As the match starts, Mizion rushes forward. Meera swings her sword, but Mizion dodges easily and punches her into the corner. She grabs Meera by the stomach and slams her to the ground, then uses the ropes to land her flying body crusher move. The announcer explains that Ms. Eon is an American WWD Pro Wrestling champion. Meera is shocked to hear this. Ms. Eon proudly says she came all the way to fulfill her wish of building her own harem full of all types of men. As she talks, her visions of flirting with men flashes through her mind. Meera swings her sword again using the windmill style, but Ms. Eon blocks it easily, saying her body is made of steel and a wooden sword would not hurt her. Ms. Eon jumps on Meera's shoulders and performs her famous finishing move, the Bloody Bomb, slamming her into the ground. Ms. Eon starts celebrating, thinking the match is over. But Meera stands back up, mocking her for her so-called iron body. Ms. Eon asks if she really wants to continue with no sword left. Meera replies that she can still wield a blade even without one. Ms. Eon throws a series of flashy wrestling moves, but Meera keeps up. Then suddenly, Meera swings her arm as if she is swinging a sword, and Ms. Eon is shocked to find herself cut by bare hands. Meera delivers the finishing blow, swinging both arms like invisible blades. Ms. Eon fails to dodge and falls to the ground. Meera wins the match. Mori watches from his room and jumps in excitement, praising Meera and saying he wants to fight her. Suddenly the door opens and Park enters with a man with green hair, Commissioner Q. Park tells Mori that if he can defeat Q, he'll be reinstated into the tournament. Mori's eyes light up, but instead of agreeing, the dumbass points to another guy with blonde hair, saying he would rather fight him instead. Q punches him, saying he is much stronger than the blonde one. Mori does not even flinch after the punch. Instead, he gets excited and asks to be punched again. Park tells them the match will happen tomorrow in the battle arena. That evening, Meera and Dewi walk home talking about Mori's disqualification. They worry about him but also call him dumb for interfering in someone else's fight. Dewi admits Mori's strength didn't seem normal. As they talk, Mori suddenly appears behind them, munching on a banana and carrying a bag of fruits, a gift from Park to help him recover. He tells them about his upcoming match with one of the commissioners. Surprised to hear this, Meera warns him to be careful. Mori just laughs it off, saying his family always taught him to do what he wants. Later, the P asks Park if he really gave those magical fruits to Mori, reminding him they were kept locked away. She asks what would happen if a normal human eats them. Park says he did it to see if Mori is the real deal. That night, Mori eats the last fruit and suddenly feels pain as he is about to pick up a blanket. He collapses on the floor, blood dripping from his mouth. At the hospital, Dewi visits a bald patient, Sung T, on the rooftop. Sung T says the treatment is helping, but the expenses are heavy and his sister is working extra jobs to cover them, just like Dewi. Dewi brushes it off, telling him he met a weird guy just like him. They laugh together, talking to each other like old friends. Later, while Dewi works collecting trash, a group of men surround him, mocking his sick friend Sung T and trying to start a fight. One of them throws a soda can at him, but Dewi stays calm and ignores them, which only annoys them more. The next day, the 12th match of the preliminaries begins. Dewi versus Sungchul Baek, a geek with a baseball bat. Sungchul starts with mind games, praising Dewi's karate and saying his book has everything, even ways to defeat him. Shocked, Dewi charges in to punch him, but Sungchul dodges and hits him on several spots. Dewi realizes that Sungchul predicted his move. Sungchul laughs, saying he learned karate 3 years back. Sungchul keeps swinging his bat, but Dewi dodges every move and is finally able to kick him in the head. Furious, Sungchul attacks again, but Dewi blocks all his hits and says he has learned his timing. Both rush toward each other, but suddenly Sungchul slips and falls. Instead of attacking, Dewi helps him up. Impressed, Sungchul decides to fight seriously. He uses his 12 spear move, striking Dewi with invisible hits that knock him down. Sungchul says the damage has spread to his organs and he cannot stand it. Dewi forces himself up, thinking of his friend. Sungchul unleashes his 72 spear move, but Dewi blocks every hit using his first stance, Black Tortoise. He then switches to his third stance, White Tiger, punching him wildly in the face. Both trade blows until Dewi overpowers Sungchul, throwing him into the corner. Furious and desperate, Sungchul tries one last attack but collapses before he can land it. The announcer announces the end of the day's scheduled matches and reminds everyone of a special fight, Mori versus the Commissioner O. Meanwhile, Mori lies on the ground, his memories flashing before his eyes. The next day, Commissioner O stands ready in the arena waiting for Mori along with all the audience. Then Mori comes running in. The referee explains the rule that if Mori can make the Commissioner fall even once, he will be reinstated back into the tournament. The match begins. Q adjusts his glasses, and in that instant Mori appears right in front of him and tells him to take them off. Q gets surprised to see him so close. Mori gently pushes him, and to everyone's shock, the Commissioner falls surprised. The match is technically over and Mori wins. Q gets furious and tries to attack him. Mori dodges and kicks him into the corner. Enraged, the Commissioner releases dark energy that takes the form of a huge monster like Spirit with an axe. The monster swings at Mori, but he dodges each strike. Mori tries to counterattack, but the monster grabs him and slams him to the ground. Just as it is about to crush him, the monster vanishes. Other commissioners appear restraining the Q. Park tells him he is suspended and would not get paid for 3 months. He turns to Mori, congratulates him for winning and rejoining the tournament, and quietly thinks to himself that Mori truly is the tiger cub of Jin Tae-jin, someone they cannot afford to let go. The preliminary rounds reach their climax and only 4 participants remain: Meera, Dewi, Mori, and the master of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Bayan Jae-hee. The next match is between Meera and Dewi. As they walk back home, Meera tells Dewi that her sword style will beat him easily. Dewi mocks her, asking her to be gentle with him. Mori feels disappointed that he can only fight one of them in the finals. He cries, asking them both to win. Meanwhile, a strange man spots Meera and approaches her, saying it was his life's purpose to meet her, and suddenly proposes marriage. Later, Meera talks to her cousin in her room. She asks her about her wedding dress and honeymoon. She is in awe that Meera is marrying the famous Seongjin Oh, a well-known martial artist who represents the country's sports entertainment scene. Memories of the past flash through Meera's mind, Seongjin proposing to her. Meanwhile, Mori is confused about which burger to try while a long line waits behind him. Some girls nearby talk about the news of Meera and Seongjin's marriage. Hearing this, Mori rushes to her house and asks why she is abandoning the tournament for marriage. Meera tries to shut the door, saying it is none of his business, but Mori holds it open, asking if she no longer wants to promote the Moonlight Sword. Meera insists that her marriage is to promote the Moonlight Sword, then kicks him away and slams the door. Mori calls Dewi for help, telling him about the marriage while Dewi is out delivering food. Dewi tells him not to get involved in others' lives. Mori, still worried, says maybe Seongjin is tricking her or plans to sell her off. Dewi brushes it off, saying they are outsiders and have no right to interfere. Meera looks in the mirror wearing her wedding dress as her cousin praises her beauty. Her uncle recalls how she never cared for clothes or girly things, always focused on her sword training. He goes to Seongjin, asking him to call off the wedding because Meera is not happy. As they talk, Meera arrives and insists she wants the marriage. She admits she is marrying him only to help the Moonlight Sword survive. Seongjin smirks, saying she can use him however she wants and he will fulfill her wish. Meera's cousin, worried, sits in the corner. Mori joins her and she tells him Meera's true reason for marrying. They try to get inside the hall together, but the guards stop them. Mori pretends to walk away, then suddenly charges forward. A guard grabs him by the collar and slams him to the ground. Inside, Meera walks beside her uncle as Seongjin waits. Seongjin's true intentions are revealed. He is part of an evil organization, Knox, and wants Meera's holy sword, which holds the power to rule God. The guards try to throw Mori out, beating him with a rod. For some reason, he cannot use his taekwondo moves. Just as the guard swings at him, Dewi arrives and grabs the rod mid-air. He dodges the next attack and punches the guard, sending him flying. Both of them rush into the hall, interrupting the wedding. Seongjin gets furious at the security and decides to handle it himself. He grabs his sword and attacks Mori. Dewi blocks the blade with his bare hand, telling Mori to go. Mori tries to convince Meera to stop the marriage and chase her dream. As she listens, memories of her past flash all the sacrifices she made for her dream. Confused, she attacks Mori but accidentally hits her uncle instead. Falling to the ground, her uncle tells her to stop and says her father would not have wanted this. Her cousin adds that she should marry someone she truly loves. Meera's eyes fill with tears as memories of her father's dream flood back. She apologizes to Seongjin and refuses to marry him, vowing to carry the moonlight sword herself. Seongjin laughs maniacally and a huge evil spirit appears behind him, shaking the entire hall as people run in panic. He swings his sword at them. Meera steps in front, getting cut in the stomach, but strikes back with moonlight sword style number 6, the monkey arm. Her attack lands on his face, sending him flying. As the fight ends, Meera looks at her friends and laughs. Outside, Dewi and Mori stare at the collapsed building. Meera joins them, hesitating to thank them. Suddenly, Seongjin drives up and shows them Meera's sword and says he would not give it back. Meera smiles, saying her father's spirit lives in her. Her cousin and uncle watch happily as she smiles with her friends. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Dewi's friend's condition gets worse and the doctors prepare for surgery. Dewi works his night shift, worried about Sung-Ti. Some men approach, mocking him about his sick friend. One says his friend will meet God soon, and in the next moment, loud punches echo and the men lie on the floor as blood drips from Dewi's hands. The next day, Mori runs late to the arena, excited to see Dewi and Meera's fight. As he enters, the crowd is silent. Dewi brutally attacks Meera in the ring, blood splattering with every hit. The audience watches in shock. The referee barely stops the match and declares it a knockout. As Dewi walks home, he meets Mori on the way. He tells him they will see each other in the finals. Mori can sense the coldness in his voice. Dewi recalls his memories of how he and his friend Sung-Ti used to fight in school, fighting each other and laughing afterward. Dewi sits in the washroom vomiting, thinking about Sung-Ti and Meera, and blood comes out as he leans over the sink. Meanwhile, the second semi-final of the preliminaries starts between Mori and the jiu-jitsu user Bayan Jae-hee. Jae-hee mocks Mori while throwing his kicks, saying he has watched his previous fights and his moves would not work on him. Mori tries to kick his face, but Jae-hee dodges. The presenter announces Mori as the winner by knockout. Mori and Dewi stare at each other as the crowd cheers for their upcoming final match. Later, Mori visits Meera in the hospital. Meera tells him about her injuries and how the nanomachines helped her recover. She tells Mori not to overthink Dewi's behavior, saying he only beat her because she was weaker. She sighs and admits Dewi's behavior is unusual, but it is still a part of who he is. At the same time, Dewi visits Sung-Ti in the hospital. The nurse informs him that Sung-Ti's condition is still unstable, but he briefly woke up earlier and asked for Dewi. The final match between Mori and Dewi is about to begin. The crowd roars as both enter the arena. Park, who is watching from the stands, wonders if the tiger cub will rise today. The bell rings and both men lock eyes, waiting for the other to move first. They charge at each other with full force. Mori's kick connects, sending Dewi to the corner, but Dewi quickly counters with a punch. They exchange fierce blows, neither holding back. The commissioners are stunned to see them fighting on equal terms. P receives a mysterious call and her face turns pale. Dewi throws a punch and Mori follows it with his kick, both canceling each other's attack. The audience holds its breath, trying to guess who will fall first. As Dewi struggles to get up, Mori extends his hand to help him, but Dewi grabs it and says he has not even accepted them as friends. He knees Mori in the face and launches his secret art, the black tortoise. Meanwhile, Meera is discharged from the hospital and leaves with her uncle and cousin. On the way, she notices something strange on her nanomachine bracelet, realizing someone else is receiving nanomachine treatment in the ICU. She sneaks in to check and is shocked to see the VIPs there and Seung-Ti lying unconscious on the bed with a photo of him and Dewi beside it. Back in the arena, Dewi continues his assault, following the Black Tortoise move with his second stance, Vermilion Bird trying to finish Mori mid-air. He remembers his deal with Park that was if he wins the finals, Seung-Ti will be treated with nanomachines. He then launches the White Tiger move, punching Mori repeatedly as blood splatters across the floor. Finally, Dewi prepares his last strike, the Azure Dragon. Mori rushes forward to kick, but Dewi lands his punch first, sending Mori flying into the corner, blood pouring from his body. The referee starts counting, but before he reaches 10, Park walks toward the arena and tells Dewi that Seung-Ti has passed away. Just as he says this, Mori stands up again, barely beating the countdown. Dewi freezes, his mind going blank as childhood memories flood in. He remembers how everyone feared him back in school and how Seung-Ti was the only one who stood by him. The two fought side by side against the gangs and laughed together after winning. Seung-Ti had told him to believe in his friends, to trust them no matter what. The flashback ends and Dewi stands lifeless in the arena. The fight resumes and Mori keeps striking, but Dewi only defends without fighting back. Mori prepares his round kick move, but before he strikes he notices Dewi's empty eyes. P asks Park if it was wise to tell him about Seung-Ti's death before the match. Park replies that he wanted to see how Dewi would respond at his lowest point. The audience is confused as Dewi barely fights back. Mori keeps hitting him again and again. Dewi thinks about Meera and Seung-Ti, guilt and sadness clouding his mind. He lowers his guard and is ready to give up when a loud voice suddenly echoes through the arena. It is Meera, who is furious at him for holding back. She runs to the ring and hands him a letter from Seung-Ti. The referee yells at them to continue, but Mori ignores him, acting like he cannot hear it. Dewi tells her to hold on to the letter and slowly gets back into his fighting stance. Mori smiles, seeing this, excited to face him again. As they fight, Dewi recalls Seung-Ti's words in the letter, thanking him for being a true friend, saying it is too late for him now, but he has no regrets and that Dewi should fight for both of them. The two unleash their full power, trading blows that shake the arena. Every move and every strike shows their respect for each other. Mori's triple kick collides with Dewi's Black Tortoise stance, blocking each attack. Dewi counters with a reverse Azure Dragon, slamming his fist into Mori's stomach and sending him flying. Mori laughs through the pain, then decides to finish it with his own original move, the Blue Dragon Kick. He channels his energy into the shape of a dragon and launches it toward Dewi. The impact shakes the ground. Dust fills the air, and when it clears, half of the arena is destroyed. Dewi lies unconscious in front of the destroyed area of the arena, having taken the hit head-on. Mori stands victorious, winning the match and the preliminaries. As Dewi lies on the ground, he thinks of Seung-Ti one last time. Mori extends his hand to him and says now they are friends. Dewi laughs, accepting his hand and his defeat. The crowd erupts in cheers as Mori helps Dewi walk out of the arena. Meera joins them, smiling and promising Dewi she would not lose next time. As they leave together, a mysterious man in the shadows watches and says he is disappointed at what Seoul has to offer. It is night and Jin Tae-jin stands surrounded by members of the Knox. Their leader approaches him and urges him to join, claiming he has been chosen by God. Tae-jin calmly refuses, saying he has always told his grandson to live by his own will. The leader smirks with an evil grin, warning him to prepare himself. Meanwhile, Mori collapses into bed, exhausted, and his thoughts drifting toward his grandfather. At the same time, Commissioners Q and O appear on the pre-national special show Big Bang, aired on the God of Hell official channel. Commissioner Q smokes heavily as if it were his last day. O announces that the tournament will begin in 2 weeks. He adds that the top 3 participants from each region will compete together as a team, marking the tournament as a team battle. As smoke fills the room, the announcer switches the feed to the KORG arena. Inside the arena, Meera battles Jae-hee for 3rd place. As the match starts, he tells her that he will go easy on her since she is a girl. His words fade as Meera's sword slashes across, sending him flying into the corner. Mori cheers her victory, thrilled that they will now compete together in the main tournament, almost falling over in excitement. Elsewhere, The commissioners review participant profiles. Park notes that one among them will carry the essence of the key. Commissioner O asks about logistics, and Park explains he didn't expect so many tiger cubs to appear, adding that the key will only awaken when someone channels their strongest emotion into power. They discuss Seongjin's situation and how Knox is secretly pursuing the key. Park then informs them of his plan to summon the six. An old man quietly drinks soup in a small shop while Mori and his friends celebrate nearby. Mori praises Meera's strength and is excited to team up with her and Dewi. Suddenly, Mori realizes he may have to fight them someday and bursts into tears. When Meera asks why he is so eager to fight, he says it is because he wants to grow stronger. As he walks home, Mori passes the old man, sensing something strange. The man vanishes instantly, leaving Mori confused. Moments later, Park approaches the same old man who hands him a card marked with the number 6. He is Bongchim, Na member of the Six. Bongchim disappears and reappears behind Park, thrusting his fist into his chest, only to hit an illusion. As they walk down the hallway, Bongchim mentions meeting Taejin's grandson, impressed that he survived eating the sage fruit. Park warns him that Knox has already tried contacting Taejin, and the old man laughs, calling them fools. In the mountains, Taejin crushes his enemies into the ground with a single devastating kick, shaking the earth with overwhelming force. High above, the leader of Knox raises his hands, casting a spell that summons a colossal sword from the sky. It descends with immense power, tearing through everything around Taejin. Elsewhere, Meera showers, doubting herself and feeling like a burden to the team. Later, at the mall, she meets the blind announcer Bongsa Shim. They sit on a bench, and he praises her victory, telling her that her skill earned her a place in the tournament, not her luck. He advises her to master the true essence of the moonlight sword technique. In Park's office, Dewi visits to discuss his purpose now that his friend is gone. He jokes about his debts but admits he will keep fighting for friendship. Seeing his resolve, Park dismisses him, saying he just wanted to confirm his intent. When Dewi asks about the mysterious power others commissioners possess, Park explains it is called chariot. Meanwhile, Mori trains in the park, stretching and preparing for the tournament, but ends up doing all things but yoga. When he helps retrieve a balloon stuck in a tree, he suddenly feels a sting in his foot. Bongchim heals him instantly by pressing one of his pressure points. Bongsa's words linger in Meera's mind. He had told her that relying only on strength would lead to defeat. She must channel her emotions through her sword. He revealed it was the moonlight sword technique that cost him his sight. Meera reflects deeply as she returns home. Later, Bongsa senses something sinister nearby. He asks his wife to wait in the car and confronts a man in a bunny costume. The man laughs darkly, burning away his disguise, an assassin from Knox. In Park's office, Dewi observes a massive painting with gods and beasts on it. Park explains that chariot allows users to borrow power from divine beings and the forces that transcend humanity itself. Elsewhere, two unknown fighters clash violently until a guard intervenes. One opens a dark portal beneath him, but the other destroys it, instantly saving him. Soon after, all tournament participants are revealed alongside the six. The Great Magician, John J. San, the Hulk, Seo Halyang, the Lone Shark, Kim Dushik, the Divine Doctor, Na Bongchim, Rebirth, Kim Ung-nyo, and finally, Tiger Cub, Mujin Park. The next morning, Meera and Dewi knock on Mori's door. Meera scolds him for being lazy while he jokes about being kicked out by his grandfather for studying too much. When Meera complains of shoulder pain, Mori presses 3 points on her back and heals her instantly. As they walk together, they discuss chariot and the upcoming battles. Mori grins, saying the tournament will be even more fun if their opponents are stronger because all they have to do is win. The God of High School tournament finally begins. Meera is surprised to see a new announcer instead of Bongsa. The commissioners receive grim news of Bongsa's death in the park. Park tightens his fist and realizes Knox has infiltrated deeper than expected. The announcer declares the opening match between North Chungcheong and Seoul. As Commissioner O wonders why Q hasn't arrived yet, the truth is revealed. Q lies, apparently dead on the floor with a sword through his chest. His killer is the same man who murdered Bongsa, Drake, laughing and thrilled to have defeated one of the strongest commissioners. The tournament begins with the first match between Chungcheong Bukdu and Seoul. The announcer explains the rules, that it will be a 3-round team match, and the team that wins 2 rounds first will advance. Mori volunteers for the first round. Meera warns him to be careful of Chariot, but he confidently claims he has a new move ready. His opponent is Na Jidong enters the arena. As the match starts, Mori points at him bragging about his new technique, pressing pressure points on his body to boost his power. It is a move he claims to have learned from Bongchim. Unfortunately, he presses the wrong points and becomes partially paralyzed. Jidong capitalizes immediately, attacking from all sides and dominating the fight. Bongchim fumes in the stands as Mori gets beaten senseless, crying like a fool as Dewi and Meera drag him out of the ring. Frustrated, Meera warns Dewi that she will kill him if he loses like that idiot Mori. The second round begins with Dewi facing Pum Kwang, a 35-year-old fighter who is shockingly old for a high school participant. The crowd whispers in disbelief. Meanwhile, far away a Drake mocks Commissioner Q, laughing about how he killed Bangsa and his family to let them be together. His arrogance fades when his arm is suddenly cut off while Q stands before him, alive smoking a cigarette. The sword lodged in his chest fades as he says coldly that he is tired of the man's yapping. Back in the arena, Dewi and Kwang's fight begins. Dewi kicks Kwang in the head, but Kwang barely reacts. He grabs Dewi by the belt and throws him with his rice bag toss, followed by a brutal nail pound that smashes Dewi into the corner. As Kwang rushes to finish the fight, Dewi counters with Black Tortoise, then transitions into White Tiger, striking him head-on. Kwang's friends cheer him on, saying he will never give up. It is part of his personality. Flashbacks reveal his past. Mocked by co-workers for chasing high school at 35, yet always helping others study and inspiring them to keep trying. Jangmi remembers how she once broke her sword in frustration and how Kwang encouraged her never to give up again. His words had changed her life. Back in the present, Kwang strikes Dewi hard, sending him crashing into the wall. Meera wonders if it is Chariot. Kwang raises a giant hammer and calls it the Thor's hammer, his Chariot. Both rushes toward each other. Their attacks collide. Dewi unleashes Azure Dragon, shattering the hammer and knocking Kwang unconscious. Soul wins the second round. Elsewhere, Drake tries to run away from Q with his arm severed. Commissioner Q hunts him down, swinging his axe relentlessly. The man regenerates his limbs through his Chariot, telling that he can heal infinitely. Q simply mutters that he does not care, summoning dozens of metal cards that pierce the man from all sides. Just as Q prepares the final blow, two persons interrupt: Priest Saturn and Priest Exley from Knox. Exley scolds Drake for acting alone, saying they were ordered to kill Commissioner Q. As they argue, Q throws cards at Exley, surrounding him. Saturn flies upward, wielding his national treasure Durandal, while Saturn summons shadowy hands from the ground to grab Q. Q cuts them apart, but they surround him again. Exley dives in for the kill, but Commissioner O appears, blocking the strike. O warns Q that if he keeps fighting with his limiter off, it'll cost half a year's salary. Q groans in frustration. Back in the arena, the final round begins. Meera versus Jangmi. With both teams tied 1-1, this match will decide the winner. The two swing their wooden swords furiously, with each blocking the other's strikes. Meera pushes Jangmi into a corner, shaking her confidence, but Kwang cheers for her from outside. Encouraged, Jangmi rushes forward, but Meera breaks her sword. Desperate, Jangmi summons her Chariot, bastard forming a massive golden blade. Meanwhile, Saturn fires lasers at Commissioner O, who counters with flames. Saturn summons her Chariot creature, which lunges at her, but O's dragon Changshik bursts out, wrapping the building and devouring her Chariot. Q battles Exley mid-air with their weapons clashing violently. O distracts Exley, giving Q an opening as his axe drives straight through Exley's chest. Back in the arena, Meera leaps onto Jangmi's Chariot blade, kicking her square in the face and knocking her out cold. Soul wins the match. At the same time, O overpowers Saturn, shattering her weapon. Exley is gravely wounded. He grabs Exley and escapes, flying away with his regenerated wings. Q curses as they flee, but before he can chase, Drake reappears behind him, laughing maniacally, and then explodes, destroying the entire floor. The Soul team celebrates their victory. Dewi feels hopeful, believing nothing bad will happen as long as they keep winning. In the ring, Jangmi apologizes to Kwang for losing. He comforts her, telling her not to lose hope and to try again next time. In Park's office, P reports the attack on Commissioner Q, saying their intel has been compromised. Park suspects a traitor among them. She shows him a severed arm which possibly belongs to Jean Tae-jin, leading Park to believe Knox might have captured him. In the arena, the Group B match begins between Jeong-sang and North Giala. The first round features Jigel take against John Jugok. Crowds notice Jugok that he belongs to some rich and famous family. As the match starts, Jugok begins casting a spell, but a massive shark-like spirit suddenly bursts from behind, devouring him whole. Turns out, it is Jigel's chariot. Jugok's maid rushes to help but is beaten down instantly. Jigel laughs, saying it is no place for women, and kicks her repeatedly. Enraged, Dewi intervenes and kicks Jigel across the face. The referee tries to stop them, but chaos erupts as Jugok wakes up and tries to strike with a lightning bolt attack. Jigel destroys it easily and punches him in the gut and sends him flying straight into the jaws of his own chariot. Bongchim treats Jugok while Park Moo-jin and Jae-san watch from afar. Jae-san tells Park to disqualify Jigel as he may cause chaos later, but Park replies that even so, he might be the key they are looking for. The second match of Group A begins between South Giala and South Chungcheong. South Chungcheong wins the first round. The next round takes place between Park Sunga and Nam Gungdo. Ilpio, who is their third teammate, tells Sunga to follow his plan and jokes about telling the announcer how she bullied him during childhood. As the match starts, Gungdo mocks her, saying it is not an entrance exam, and rushes toward her with his large body. Sunga keeps dodging backward, following Ilpio's plan, waiting for the right time to counter. As Gungdo runs wildly trying to grab her, she kicks him right on his weak spot, his cheek, and knocks him down. Sunga wins the match, and her team celebrates. Dewi and Mori watch the match from the audience. They admire South Chungcheong's teamwork. Dewi worries about which team they will face next, but Meera reminds him that he is suspended. She calls both of her teammates idiots while Mori sits quietly lost in thought. The announcer begins the final round of the tournament. The winner will take the team into the semifinals. The fight is between Gwim Gi, who stands confidently like a model, and Park Ilpio. Mori notices tiger marks on Ilpio's hoodie. Gi tries to provoke him with words, but Ilpio only stares, and an intense energy spreads around the arena. Gi praises his confidence, while Ilpio's teammates mention that his last opponent surrendered after just one stare. Gi rushes forward trying to punch him, but Ilpio blocks his attack and counters with a kick to his knee. He throws quick slaps and punches and sends Gi crashing into the corner. The crowd is surprised to see Ilpio using the ancient fighting technique Taekion. Gi laughs and activates his chariot, a black matter that can take any form. He attacks Ilpio, but Ilpio moves swiftly using the transience of life technique to dodge. Just when he is about to strike, Gi turns the matter into a shield and blocks. Gi smirks, but Ilpio suddenly appears behind him and lands a strong kick to his face, his falling leaf inferno move. Gi falls and Ilpio wins the match. As his team celebrates, Mori notices it is the same tiger mark that was on his grandfather's military uniform. Later, Dewi and Meera talk about how competitive the tournament has become. Dewi recalls his talk with Park about Chariot, who told him that it can awaken either through training or in battle. Mori interrupts, saying he has no interest in borrowing someone else's power, and walks away. They notice how strange he has been acting since meeting Park. Walking alone, Mori recalls his meeting with Park. Park asked him if he had heard from his grandfather recently. P showed him pictures of a forest destroyed by a chariot and told him that the blood found there belonged to Tae-jin. Park said the chances of him being alive were slim. Mori laughed it off, saying that if his grandfather fought someone, they should worry about the opponent instead. Ilpio approaches Mori, who is lost in thought about saving his grandfather. He shakes Mori's hand and smiles, but suddenly pulls him close and attacks. Mori dodges, and the two exchange blows before stopping. Mori falls back as Ilpio's fist stops just before his face, while Mori's kick stops behind Ilpio's head. The tension breaks, and Mori asks about the tiger mark on his hoodie. Ilpio says it is out of respect for Tae-jin. Mori looks surprised. 14 years ago, Ilpio recalls how his parents left him at a dojo filled with strangers. He was weak and made little progress. One day, while sitting alone under a tree, Tae-jin approached him carrying child Mori in his arms. He gave him a book written by his late grandfather containing all the Taekion techniques. Taejin told him that he and his grandfather served together in the army and encouraged him to train hard with consistency before walking away with a tiger mark on his jacket. Back in the present, Ilpio asks Mori about Taejin, but before he can answer, Jigel's shark spikes attack from behind. Ilpio blocks it with his hands and yells at Jigel to let others out of their fight. He remembers beating Jigel to the ground once before. Jigel laughs and leaves. Ilpio thanks Mori for his time and jokes he would not stop his punch next time. Mori stands silently and feels frustrated for not being strong enough. Meanwhile, P chases Commissioner Q, who storms into Park's office and breaks down the door using his chariot. He grabs Park by the collar and demands to know how he allowed Bonks's family to be killed. Park slams him into the wall using his wrist and tells him he will pay for the destruction. Later, P meets Q on the roof as he smokes a cigarette. Q asks if she knew about Bonks's family. She tells him they are safe and the ones killed were clones, but he still has to pay the destruction fee and will lose his salary for 9 months. Broke and tired, Q tries to get a coin from a vending machine when Dewi finds him. As they eat together, Dewi asks Q to teach him chariot, offering to cook for him in return. Q asks if it is just to win the tournament, and Dewi replies that it is part of it, but mostly because he wants to catch up to Mori. He says something is bothering Mori, but he is not sharing it, maybe thinking he is not dependable or strong enough. Park gathers the commissioners and tells them to remove their limiters so they can fight the Knox with full power, but warns they must find the traitor among them first. At the same time, the leader of the Knox tells his followers to find the power that can defeat God himself and the key that threatens their existence. Meera practices her sword swings and thinks about Mori's behavior. Dewi and Meera notice something on their bracelets. Mori looks at an old photograph of him and his grandfather after taking a bath. He recalls how his grandfather left him to study and make friends, promising him a gift. Mori had asked for a photograph of the two of them, the same one he now holds. He sighs and realizes he has turned 17. Just then, the door opens and Dewi and Meera come in to celebrate his birthday. They say they got a message on their bracelets. Mori's eyes light up as they bring food and start eating. Dewi explains Myra's cooking like a chef, but while he talks, Mori and Meera finish all the food. They laugh and have fun together. Mori feels that this must be the happiness his grandfather wanted for him. In the evening, Dewi tells Mori he will beat him in their next fight. Meera joins in teasing them, both reminding Dewi that since he is suspended, it will be only 2 of them next match. The next morning, Mori receives a letter. Inside it is a map and a photo of his grandfather lying on the ground chained and unconscious. Mori rushes on a bicycle and thinks about his grandfather. Mori rides through the streets determined to find his grandpa. Big Bang Show announces that the God of High School tournament has reached its quarter-final stages. The next match is between Seoul and Jeju. Worried, Meera asks Dewi if he found that dumbass Mori who does not even take his cell phone with him. P approaches and tells them to focus on the match first, warning that if they're not present they'll lose by default. She adds that if Mori does not arrive before the second round they'll be disqualified since Dewi is still suspended for interfering in the previous match. Dewi teases Meera not to finish the match too quickly and runs off to find Mori. The first round begins between Jeju and Seoul. Meera faces Lee Marin. She mocks him for his weird outfit as all Jeju fighters wear cape-like robes hiding their faces. Marin throws off the cape and reveals his oiled-up body in nothing but underwear. Meera freezes in disbelief and regrets that she has to fight this creep. Meanwhile, Mori enters a mysterious building searching for his grandfather. He opens a door and finds Taejin lying on the floor. Back in the arena, Meera swings her sword at Marin, but the blade slips off his oily body. Frustrated, she drops him to the ground and tries her sword less move, but Marin dodges and grabs her from behind creep style. Another Jeju fighter throws Marin a wooden sword like hers and he blocks her attack. Meera realizes it is the Moonlight sword and shouts at him to give it back. He smirks and swings hard, shattering her sword and calls her unworthy to wield it. The wooden sword in his hand transforms into steel. Dewi runs through the hallway searching for Mori. He finds Kwang lying on the floor and bends to help him when a strange girl, Bora Ma, appears and stares at him. Marin flexes his sword in front of Meera, calling it the weapon of God, Fengxian. He mocks her for never awakening its true power. Meera attacks furiously, but Maren blocks her easily. She follows up with her wind willow move, breaking his stance and kicking him in the face. Meera punches him hard in the stomach and sends him flying. The sword slips into her hand but vanishes instantly. Maren smirks and says it always returns to its true owner. Meanwhile, Mori tries to wake up his grandfather. As he searches for something to cut chains, Tae-jin suddenly starts laughing. His face twists and his body explodes. Blasts erupt through every room and destroys the entire building. When the smoke clears, a mysterious man appears and finds Mori on the floor. As he walks away, Mori struggles to his feet and demands to know who he is. The man uses his doppelganger move and summons multiple copies that surround Mori. Back in the arena, Maren slaps Meera around and insults her for being weak. His memories flash. He is a Knox member. He plunges his sword into Meera's stomach and slams her to the ground. Elsewhere, Dewi fights the Bora. She tries to flirt mid-fight, but Dewi stays serious, blocking her kick and hitting her on the knee, saying he does not have time for games. He helps Kwang up and the girl, impressed, kisses him before running off. They spot Jigel ahead, who mocks Dewi for crossing his path and walks away. Dewi sighs as he does not want any more trouble. Mori battles the mysterious man's clones and smashes through each one. The man observes from afar, recalling that Mori is Taejin's grandson, the hero who once defeated all members of the Six. A swarm of clones attack Mori and break the floor beneath him and send him crashing down. He finds the real bodies of Jeju team members and realizes Knox replaced them. The man warns Mori not to push too far after surviving the explosion. Mori presses his pressure points and says he would not feel pain for the next hour. Back in the arena, Maren grabs Meera by her hair, slapping and mocking her for being powerless. He says Mori would not be coming back. Meera catches the hint and demands to know if he is behind Mori's disappearance. Maren laughs and throws her across the ring. As Meera falls, she thinks about her friends and how she cannot let them down. A voice inside her asks how she can make such a wish when she is weak. Meera admits she is weak but promises to get stronger for her friends. Her reflection merges with her and the crowd watches as she is surrounded by red energy. Suddenly, Maren's sword disappears and appears in Meera's hand. It is her chariot, the great hero Lu Bu Fengxian. Maren summons his own chariot, the Kraken, an enormous sea creature. It slams its limbs toward Meera, but she cuts through them and charges straight at him. Meera leaps from a limb and lands her finishing move, Fang Tianhua Ji, striking Maren down. When the dust settles, Maren lies unconscious and Meera wins the round. Meera collapses from exhaustion, but Mori catches her and apologizes for making her wait. As Mori returns, the announcer announces the second round match between Mori and Na Han-seong. Dewi congratulates Meera for awakening her chariot, but she admits it hasn't fully synced yet. Dewi notes that he hasn't seen Mori this angry before. Han-seong asks Mori what happened to Pei Long, mysterious man who attacked Mori earlier, but Mori stays silent. Angry, Han-seong throws energy pentagons, but Mori dodges. Han-seong charges, but Mori blocks and kicks him in the face. Mori continues striking him with fierce punches and kicks, as if answering his question through his attacks. Finally, Mori finishes with his original move, Blue Dragon Kick, sending a wave of dragon force through Han-seong. When Han-seong charges again, Mori follows with Twin Blue Dragon Kick, 3 dragons roaring as they hit. Meanwhile, all members of the Six watch from afar. Bongchim smirks and says the tiger raised another tiger, referring to Tae-jin and his grandson. 4 years ago in a dojo, Sunyan asks her cousin Ilpio why he trains so hard. Ilpio tells her it is because of the promise he made to Tae-jin. One day Jigel fights Sunyan, beats her badly in a fight and breaks her leg, making her unable to practice martial arts again. Ilpio loses control and beats Jigel, shouting at him to apologize to Sunyan. Later, Ilpio sits on the stairs lost in thought when Sunga asks if he still wants to fight Mori in his next match. He says he has to win so he can use his wish to fix Sunyan's leg. Meanwhile, Commissioner P reads the minds of captured Knox intruders while Park meets with the Seoul team. Park tells them their team will move to the semifinals, revealing that the team they fought earlier was not from Jeju but Knox disguised as them. Pei Long sits on the ground with his face disfigured from the beating. He shouts at Jigel for coming late, but Jigel says he never agreed to join his gang and only came for the intel. As he walks away, Peilong and his men are devoured by Jigel's chariot. The announcer calls for the group a semifinal between the Seoul and South Giala teams. Meera mentions they have a better chance now since Dewi's suspension is lifted and she has her sword back. Dewi notices Mori sitting apart from them, looking distant. The first round begins between Dewi and Sunga. Sunga throws fast punches but Dewi blocks them. She lands a kick on his ears followed by a heavy elbow strike. Dewi pushes her away with his legs, but as he tries to regain balance, her attack comes flying in. Dewi drops to his knees. It is part of Ilpio's plan. Sunga had struck him head first to disorient him. As he kneels, Sunga attacks with her cranium fracture move, landing a solid hit. Dewi recalls Park's meeting where he told them Knox plans to kill all gods and chariot users. He explained that Knox wants to use Taejin's power for their own purpose. When Mori and the others wanted to go save Taejin, Park stopped them and called them weak. He told them to win the tournament first if they wanted information about Taejin. Back in the fight, Dewi's leg glows with strange energy but fades quickly, a failed chariot attempt. Dewi punches and kicks her into the corner. Ilpio tells her to withdraw but she refuses, shouting that she'll fight till the end. She charges forward but Dewi counters with a punch charged with the same strange energy, knocking her out and winning the round. As he walks off, he tells Mori their win depends on all three of them. Mori smiles as his goofy mood returns. Later, as Ilpio sits with Sunga being treated, Sunyan comes to him in her wheelchair. She tells him not to worry about her leg and reminds him to fight for himself, to keep his promise. Elsewhere, Commissioner P lies injured as a Knox member kills the captured intruders and calls them martyrs. Park arrives and recognizes the man as Sang Manioch. Manioch says conflict brings out true potential and that the tournament is just a way to awaken divine power. Outside, Knox members surround the area. Manioch draws a symbol that appears in the sky and creates a massive spell circle. A huge colossal sword begins to fall toward the ground. The fight between Mori and Ilpio begins. Ilpio tells him he would not win with that level of taekwondo. Mori attacks with kicks but Ilpio dodges everyone with ease. He traps Mori's leg and punches him away. Mori tries punching and kicking but Ilpio blocks both and kicks him in the face. He tells Mori his close combat is weak. Frustrated, Mori attacks wildly but gets countered and thrown to the ground again. Ilpio says his moves are easy to read and that makes him predictable. Mori uses Twin Blue Dragon Kick but Ilpio's Blazing Cyclone Blade cancels it. Mori kneels as Ilpio says his technique drains too much energy. Meanwhile, Park barely holds the falling sword while Manioch casts another spell. Knox members start chanting, forming a glowing circle in the sky. A dark figure descends, grabs the sword and pushes it down. Even the commissioners wonder if it is a god. Back in the arena, Mori still struggles to land a single hit. Ilpio taunts him saying Taejin must be disappointed. Mori thinks hard then finds an opening. He cuts Ilpio using the sword less moonlight style. On the rooftop, one of the six drinks calmly and watches the chaos. He tells his men to prepare the drums. Time for music. Mori lands another sword less strike saying his close combat weakness is gone. Ilpio attacks again but Mori blocks it with Black Tortoise move and says his second weakness is gone too. Ilpio laughs and jumps in asking about the third. The rooftop team starts playing drums and music as Seo Halyang joins the fight and shows his treasure of weapons. He fires a rocket at the sky spell, then guns and arrows. The music grows louder. Ilpio praises Mori saying he is finally unleashing his full strength. He fights him while guiding him like a coach. Outside, the commissioners fight off the Knox forces as Halyang's spell summons huge arms that grab the sword in the sky. Mori strikes with Twin Blue Dragon Kick again, but Ilpio cancels it with Blazing Cyclone Blade. Mori thanks him for helping him realize his weakness and attacks with Blue Dragon Tempest, but Ilpio fights back with Hellfire Blade. As the drums grow louder, Halyang's masked spirit bites the sword in the sky and shatters it completely. Mori's attack hits Ilpio hard and sends him flying. As he falls, he remembers Taejin asking him to teach Mori someday. Ilpio smiles as he is happy to fulfill that promise. But as the dust settles, Park senses something strange. A fox-shaped energy surrounds Ilpio and his body glows yellow. Meera notices that his GP turns negative. Park and Manioch both realize that the divine power of the key has awakened. In ancient times, a nine-tailed fox spirit resided in heaven who got immense power. God made it his guardian, but soon fearing its power ordered its execution. The fox destroyed half of the heaven on this betrayal and descended to earth, vowing to take revenge on God. Mori stares at Ilpio, shocked as tails rise behind him and his entire presence transformed. Jigel watches from afar and feels his chariot resonate with the new power of Ilpio. Park identifies immediately that it is the power of the nine-tailed fox. Manioch grins darkly and calls it a threat to God's authority and vows to kill it. Park laughs as if he would let him. Mori steps forward carefully and reads Ilpio's movements. He swings a punch, but Ilpio counters with transience of life. A knee to the gut, sending Mori flying high before smashing him to the ground with a kick. Mori crashes hard but stands again, refusing to lose. He cracks his neck and warms his legs Goku style and charges. Ilpio moves to block, but Mori vanishes, reappearing to strike with transience of life. His own version then follows it with Blue Dragon Tempest. The clash shakes the entire arena. Ilpio slams a fiery punch into Mori's stomach and forces him to kneel. Ilpio unleashes fire beasts, but Mori begins adapting, reading his attacks and dodging more each time. Seeing this, Ilpio grows impatient and strikes in rapid bursts. Mori realizes the power of Ilpio chariot and notices they both are the same. Excited, he charges again at him. Their fists collide and release blinding light and heat. Ilpio praises him, then throws more beasts, but Mori's eyes shift color. His aura surges in the arena. He destroys the fire beasts in an instant. Even the patient lying unconscious in the ICU opens glowing eyes. The sky darkens and thunder rolls above the arena. Ilpio asks who he really is as he attacks with the night parade of 100 demons. Mori answers with a single punch, creating a massive tornado that swallows everything. Ilpio is lifted into the air, then slammed down by a colossal spiritual hand. The ground quakes as he falls unconscious. Mori stands victorious. Meera and Dewi rush in and praise him, asking if it was chariot. Mori, just as confused as them, says he has no idea what that even was. Elsewhere, Park learns the nine tails has fallen. Manioch says that witnessing the immense energy they should take precautions and sends Commissioner Peabody flying against the wall. Park runs to save her, just then Manioch escapes. Park sighs and immediately calls Commissioner Q, ordering him to secure the key and be wary of Knox. At the hospital, Ilpio rests in bed and apologizes to his teammates, but they reassure him proudly. Mori visits Ilpio, smiling as both tease each other for being healthier than each other. Ilpio's friends ask about Mori's power, but he says he is still confused. Once they leave, Mori quietly asks about his missing grandfather and tells him about his disappearance. Ilpio warns him about his next opponent Jigel and tells him to stay alert. Both laugh and promise to fight again when they're healed. Down the hall, Jugok leaves his ICU room as his body half red and warped. Jigel appears in front of him and smirks at his transformation. Jugok attacks with lightning, growing stronger with each blast. The maid pleads for him to stop, but Jigel uses her as bait and impales her with his chariot spikes. As Jugok holds her body, he whispers that she'll become his strength and absorbs her. Jugok storms into Ilpio's room as he fights Jigel violently. His body mutates as he absorbs others. Ilpio rushes to help, but Jugok's limb nearly crushes him when Jigel pierces Jugok midair, claiming Ilpio as his prey. Jugok vomits the maid out and trembles as he loses control. The maid awakens and calls out to him. Jugok starts to calm down, but Jigel devours him, completely seeing the opportunity, his chariot absorbing Jugok's body. Ilpio watches in horror as his friend's limbs vanish. Outside, Manioch and Knox forces surround the hospital. Manioch calls on his god and a gate opens in the sky and millions of creatures fall from it. Ilpio tails flare out again as his nine-tail form returns. He strikes Jigel with overwhelming force and throws him out of the hospital, smashing him into another building. Seeing chaos erupt across the city, Park announces that the God of High School tournament is officially over. Mori and his friends stand shocked watching the chaos unfold. Manioch prays loudly, saying their god and king shall descend. As he screams, a human-like black creature falls from the sky along with an army of monsters. The maid weeps beside Jugok's dead body. Jugok's grandfather watches from afar and walks away and promises to avenge his grandson even if it costs his life. Jigel remembers his past, how his mother sold him to an old man for money. The man told him he would become his heir as he had all the qualities. Jigel recalls when Ilpio once defeated him, how weak he felt and how Manioch gave him evil power. After gaining strength and abilities, Jigel killed his adopted father to claim all his power and wealth. Ilpio sits above Jigel ready to punch, but Jigel throws his chariot's limbs at him. Ilpio activates his chariot, the nine-tailed fox, and dodges his attacks. Jigel rushes at him trying to kick, but Ilpio blocks it. Jigel then uses the impoverished technique and sends spirit-like huge monsters toward him. Ilpio dodges them, but one lands a punch. Furious, Ilpio loses control and destroys all of them like a beast eating their limbs. Jigel laughs and calls him wild just like himself. The commissioners fight the spirit army using their chariot. Q cuts through them and counts how many he has killed as if enjoying it. O rides her dragon chariot, burns them down with fire, and notices a massive godlike statue in the air. Park uses his chariot to stop it from descending while Manioch mocks him for being late. Park warns him that if they make contact with the key, now the world will be destroyed. Manioch laughs, saying that's exactly what they want. Mori and his friends step out of the building watching the chaos. Suddenly, a blast hits near them. Jigel bursts out of a building followed by Ilpio. Ilpio dominates the fight and strikes him again and again, kicking him into the air. He pins Jigel down and punches his face repeatedly. Remembering how Ilpio once beat him the same way, Jigel activates his power and uses his chariot to consume Ilpio. A bright explosion follows and something glowing escapes Ilpio's body as he falls to the ground. Eyes appear all over Jigel's body along with an evil face as his own eyes turn black. Jigel tries to grab the key with his chariot tongue, but a spirit cuts it and flies away. Haoyang and the Bongchim stop the spirit from escaping. A strange symbol appears in front of Bongchim that smashes him away. Manioch cheers as he gets the key, but Mori appears from behind, kicking him aside, and takes hold of the key himself. Dewi and Meera rush to Ilpio's side, noticing how much blood he has lost. Meanwhile, the face of the god statue opens, revealing a monstrous face pushing through Park's defense. The US military commander orders a nuclear strike on Seoul to prove that godly power is nothing against modern science. Park gets a call from Commissioner P warning him about the nuclear attack. Park uses his other hand and casts a spell and tells the kids to go inside until he clears the mess, teleporting all of them to another place. Dewi and Meera awaken with Ilpio's friends nearby. Dewi uses his chariot to heal them, mentioning he was waiting to master it first before using. They discuss finding Mori and realize that Jigel must also be here. Mori presses Ilpio's pressure points, trying to stop the bleeding. Sunyan tells him that Jigel is behind all this and is extremely dangerous. She says Ilpio had been watching both him and Jigel and wanted Mori to defeat Jigel. Mori recalls their fight and realizes Ilpio was guiding him even then. Ilpio wakes up and asks about the key. He tells Mori that it was inside him and holds immense power and warns him to never let Jigel get it. Chaos spreads through Korea as emergency teams fail to control the destruction. People run in fear trying to escape Seoul. Commissioner O fights spirits in the air, but her dragon gets overwhelmed and falls to the ground and vanishes into dust. Q keeps slashes through monsters as his kill count reaches 820 million. Manioch tells Park to give up and says he cannot defy their god. Jigel hits Meera and Dewi against a wall asking about the key, but Dewi says he does not know. As they talk, Dewi wonders if the thing that came out of Ilpio was the key. Jigel sends more monsters at them as Meera and Dewi activate their chariot to fight back. Mori arrives at the scene and finds them lying on the ground, badly beaten. Jigel sits nearby asking him about the key. Mori demands to know why he hurt his friends. Jigel laughs, saying they are weak losers and that he will become the perfect winner once he gets the key. People scream and run through the streets as the destruction continues. Manioch tries to hit Park with his spell, but Bongchim and Haoyang intervene and push him away. They help Park restrain the god statue from falling, but it shatters their defense and moves downward. Overjoyed, Manioch praises his god, but another voice echoes, telling hundreds of thousands of spirits to travel far as he says that people start vanishing. Jigel and Mori fight fiercely. Jigel punches him hard and follows up by throwing massive spear attacks, but Mori dodges. Jigel suddenly appears behind him and slams him to the ground. Jigel grabs his face and kicks him repeatedly. Mori tries to counter with Blue Dragon Kick, but Jigel destroys it with ease, screaming to give him the key. Park, the commissioners, and all the citizens are suddenly teleported far from Seoul. Bongchim says it must be Jae-san. Manioch praises Jae-san, the great magician, for teleporting them far from here. Jae-san raises his wand and turns the nuclear missiles into fragments, then merges them into a statue of faces and sends it toward the god statue. Surprised, Manioch blocks it with a shield, but Jae-san casts another spell, Stardust. A massive green symbol appears in the sky, and a meteor falls on the nuclear statue and pushes it into the shield and breaks it apart. Jae-san smirks and says he will avenge his grandson by taking Manioch down with him. The statue crashes to the ground and causes a huge nuclear explosion that wipes out all the spirits and Manioch in Seoul. Jigel was about to punch Mori, but both were suddenly teleported back to Seoul. They stand shocked seeing the ruined city. Manioch somehow survives, but barely able to stand, asks again for the key. Jigel grabs Mori by his limbs as Dewi and Meera try to help, but he traps them with his huge monsters. Jigel takes the key from Mori and absorbs it into the monster's face on his body. He turned into a baby, and his form changes as wings grow from his back, and his body transforms completely into that of a god. He looks down at everyone and says that all others deserve to die because they are losers. Park asks Q if there's any response from Jae-san, but she replies there hasn't been any. Not from him or Manioch. Haoyang mentions that only the kids sent to the Holy Realm are their last line of defense. Mori and his friends are shocked as they see Jigel in his god form. Meera says that Sunga and her sister must be reaching their limits since they're still recovering through Dewi's chariot. She suggests they should fall back and regroup with Ilpio and the others. Before she can finish, Jigel suddenly appears in front of them. He grabs Mori by the face and slams him into Dewi. Meera tries to strike him with her sword using Moonlight Sword Style, technique number 7, but Jigel stops the blade effortlessly with his fingertip. He says he will erase everything and smashes her away with a single hand. Mori jumps at him, aiming to kick, but Jigel stops him midair using nothing but his own force. Mori yells that he'll make him pay for everything he did to his friends and recalls their faces. As he screams, he forces himself free. Mori presses his pressure points, an acupuncture technique. He recalls Bongchim telling him about it, that it can extract immense power from oneself, but is extremely dangerous. Mori rushes at Jigel, screaming that he is already past his limits. He jumps to strike, but Jigel dodges and punches him in midair. Mori blocks his next punch with a kick and sends Jigel flying backward. Dewi and Meera rejoin the fight and activate their chariot. They attack Jigel head-on, distracting him long enough for Mori to appear from behind with his Blue Dragon Kick, which slams him to the ground. As the dust clears, energy beams shoot at them. Mori looks up just as a massive hand smashes into him, one of Jigel's monstrous creations. The creature goes for another strike, but Meera stops it with her chariot and pulls Mori away. As they run, Jigel mocks them, saying their deaths would not be painless, and fires an energy arrow. Dewi steps in front to shield them and takes the hit, telling them to escape. Mori's memory flashes as he sees Dewi fall. He remembers a time when he ruled as a god, holding his weapon, a stick called Nyoibo. As he calls for it, a giant stone-like stick falls from the sky. Mori approaches Nyoibo and removes his headband. Mori's aura bursts out. Shocked, Manioch realizes he is Seitan Taisei. A blue crown appears on Mori's head and his eyes turn blue and his presence fills the battlefield. He calls for Nyoibo to shrink and turn the massive weapon into a manageable stick. Jigel and Mori charge at each other. Mori now dodges his attacks with ease and counters with strong hits from his stick. Jigel fires an energy beam and sends Mori crashing into the mountains. A portal of monsters appears behind him, but Mori destroys them all with powerful strikes from Nyoibo. He rushes back at Jigel, both moving so fast that only energy trails can be seen. Mori kicks him, but Jigel punches back and smashes Mori into the ground. Mori grabs Nyoibo and charges again at him, their clash shaking the entire landscape. Jigel grabs Mori by the neck and slams his face into the ground, who says all power bows to him. Mori shouts that he warned him he would pay. He calls for Nioibo to grow and launches Jigel into the air. Riding on his stick, Mori charges forward and punches him hard in the face, sending him flying and saying it is for Dewi. He follows up with more punches and shouts it is for Meera. He appears behind him and smashes him to the ground, saying it is for Sunga and her sister. Finally, as Jigel lies broken, Mori drops from the sky yelling it is for Ilpio and delivers a devastating final punch. The blast shakes the ground. Jigel, barely standing, screams that he is not a loser. Mori looks to the sky and calls upon Kintawan. Dark clouds gather around the sky and thunder roars. Lightning strikes Jigel again and lights up the battlefield. Park watches from afar, saying Mori's power is not borrowed. He has become God in flesh, the Monkey King. As the lightning fades, Jigel collapses with his wings and armor shattered. Stunned, Manioch cannot believe what he is seeing and flees with his men. Meera and Dewi approach Mori, asking if he is still himself. Exhausted, Mori leans on them, letting out a hungry groan. Both smile, realizing it is the same always hungry dumbass Jean Mori. Mori says he is still confused about his memories, and just then his head begins to hurt. Jigel tries to wake up again, screaming for power. Faces start forming on his back, turning into bodies until he becomes a giant monster. Meera groans that he just does not know when to quit. Huge hands rise from the ground and try to crush them. Mori calls for Kintawan and Nioibo, but nothing happens as he has not mastered the new power yet. Dewi and Meera intercept the monstrous hands. One of them smashes Mori, but Meera cuts it off and pulls him back. As they look at Jigel's monstrous form, Mori almost collapses from the head pain, but Ilpio appears and supports him. Mori scolds him for showing up while still injured and calls him an idiot. Dewi and Meera join, laughing that they're all idiots and that only death can beat their stupidity. The group of idiots smiles and charges at Jigel together. They attack with everything they have got. Mori destroys the monster's hands with blue dragon attacks. Meera unleashes Lu Bu Fengxian's move, while Ilpio supports her with a night parade of 100 demons. Their combined strikes tear through Jigel's body. Ilpio boosts Mori with a kick and shouts for him to finish it. Mori uses the Imperial Divine Dragon Fang, but Jigel blocks with his monstrous limbs. Suddenly, Jigel's body starts turning to stone. Jae-san lies on the floor and smiles. It is his spell. Jigel screams as the spell spreads through his body until he is completely turned into stone. Mori smashes him into pieces with a final dragon kick. The skies clear and clouds take the shape of a dragon above. Jigel's fading consciousness remembers his mother leaving him. His evil power consumes him as Ilpio reaches out to help, but Jigel pulls back and calls him trash. Before vanishing into energy, he tells Ilpio to live a good life. Mori and his friends sigh in relief and wonder if it is finally over. Bora walks in a cave, pretending to be lost. She steps on 6 summoning card and notices a giant sealed gate ahead. Elsewhere, Sunga and her sister are fully healed thanks to Dewi's chariot. Ilpio's friends thank Dewi for saving them. A woman appears scolding Boral for waking her 2 weeks early. Mori asks who she is, but she punches him on the head and calls him a dumb ape. Meera wonders if she knows Mori, and Dewi jokes that maybe she knows another version of him. The woman laughs, saying she is much older than him, and introduces herself as Kim Eun-Nyo, a member of the Six. The group jokes if it is a comedy team name, annoying her even more. Eun-Nyo says the god of high school tournament's purpose has been fulfilled and declares Mori and his friends the winners. She tells them she can grant any wish except reviving the dead. Mori's eyes light up as he thinks of bringing his grandfather back, but stops, thinking of everyone else. Meera and Dewi encourage him to wish for what he truly wants. Mori wishes to heal everyone who was injured in the battle. Eun-Nyo grants the wish. Everyone's wounds vanish, and they all return to perfect health. Mori looks over and sees Jae-san lying motionless, realizing he is gone. Eun-Nyo suddenly transforms into a child and teases Mori and says he has gone from a tiny ape to a big one. She tells him that his grandfather Tae-jin is alive because she can sense his energy. Overjoyed, Mori smiles and collapses as he is finally getting some rest. 3 months later, the Bongchim poured a bottle into a fountain. Young appears and calls his big brother, teasing him about Nyo rejecting him and saying he cried for 3 days. The doctor blushes and chases him, and the two starts fighting over it. At Park's office, he meets with the commissioners, saying they cannot waste this chance and should start by seizing this year's election to choose the president. Elsewhere, a white-haired man resembling Manioch meets the president while a blonde commissioner watches from the shadows, hinting he might be the traitor. Meanwhile, Mori wakes up at home and stares at his grandfather's picture. Smelling food, he rushes to the kitchen where Dewi and Meera are cooking. They tell him he has been asleep for 3 months. Mori asks about Ilpio and the others, and Dewi shows him a photo. They tell Mori that Nyo has tasked Ilpio with finding and uniting the fragments of the key, as he is now its guardian. She also told them that humans cannot kill gods. It is a restriction, but when the key is completely awakened, that taboo is broken. It allows humans to pull gods out of the holy realm and destroy them. Meera asks if Mori has the same ability, but he says his memories are still blurry. Dewi tells him his memories are sealed, and to unlock them he must travel to Seitan Taisei's homeland. The three decide to head there together to grow stronger, with Mori promising that he will rescue his grandfather no matter what. That's all for today, my fellow men of culture. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more anime recaps.